to Tina Butty Podcast. I'm Erica.
And I'm Dominic.
And today we are going to talk about a subject that I thought I invented.
A subject that you invented. Yes.
A subject that I thought, what, I am
Nobody has
so clever.
ever thought, I am so clever. Nobody in the world has come up with this.
This is a really good spin on a topic for us to talk about. And that subject is if Emily in Paris were set in the UK.
More specifically, London.
Well, that's one of the questions.
Oh. It's a quiz.
It's not a quiz, but...
It's a little party quiz.
Okay, so when I recently binged the popular Netflix show Emily in Paris, which I think came out in October. I don't know if you guys have watched it or not. I resisted kind of watching it because, I don't know, it just didn't... The reviews were not great, first of all.
Well...
But everybody was talking about it. Everybody kept talking about it and kept talking about it. So, okay, so I watched it. It was not great.
It was, I heard some of it because I wasn't watching it, but
Yeah.
it was on in the background so I could hear it, And it sounded a little bit, who wrote it? The Gilmore Girls writer? Or am I thinking of someone else?
It was created by Darren Star, which is the same guy who did Sex and the City.
Oh, that's what it was, yeah.
I mean, Sex and the City obviously was based on the Candace Bushnell books, though. So basically, this is like Sex and the City in Paris, really. Feels a bit dated if I'm being real. But anyway.
Very 90s.
We'll talk a little bit about the show, but my idea, because this is about an American girl who moves to Paris, and just her experiences living there, basically living and working there. And it got me thinking, because the show is very cliche. There are so many French cliches in it. Like, it's really ridiculous. And if I were a French person, I would just be like, what in God's name is this crap?
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of like, I don't know, people just write and they think, they just go into a lazy stereotype. And it's just like, that's what the world knows and that's what the world believes, or that's what America believes, so let's do this.
I will say, before we, slag it off too much.
You're slagging it off, mate. You're mugging me off.
I will say that I did watch the entire series, and as far as mindless entertainment goes, it's not terrible. If you want to just, if you want to suspend your
it's a little bit
disbelief, if you want to suspend your disbelief and you don't want to think too hard and you just want to kind of go into a magical land that doesn't require thinking, then it's okay. It's entertaining. It does its job.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. Is it the best show ever created in the history of television or programming, rather? Because I guess Netflix
wins all the BAFTAs, wins all the Golden Globes and the Academy Awards.
No, it's not. But anyway, it got me. The premise of the show got me thinking. The premise of the show, combined with the fact that it is just full of cliches. I mean, absolutely everything in the show is a cliche.
You could say that about Sex and the City, though, too, couldn't you?
Well, Sex and the City is another topic. But, it got me thinking, what if this show was set in the UK? What if Emily went to the UK? Let's talk about which cliches, she would experience, which cliches we would be seeing if the show were set in the UK.
Yeah.
So the reason why I said that I thought I invented this subject is because I genuinely did. But when I was doing research just now before we started to record, I just thought, let me just Google this topic and see if anybody's already done this.
Yeah.
And sure of freaking enough.
Who did it?
BuzzFeed.
Bloody BuzzFeed, mate.
BuzzFeed!
BuzzFeed!
Yes. BuzzFeed. They're the only ones.
BuzzFeed mugging me off, innit?
They're the only ones. So I pulled up their article. We'll go through their article at the end. It's just a humorous article. I mean, which basically this is going to be a humorous topic because it's just like full of cliches. But I could not believe that. I thought, you know what? I have such a unique idea here.
Yeah.
Wrong again.
Very unique.
Okay. So, let's just start off. What I'm gonna do, since you haven't really seen the show.
I've heard it. I've heard like the little accordions and the "Mais oui, monsieur." Yes. Do you like some onions?
The people coming out with the onions around.
Yes. Would you like some onions? Yes. Oui.
In Britain, guys, there's a show that Dominic showed me in the past that was set during the war. Right? Wasn't it it was during the war, wasn't it? During World War II. Hello. Yeah. And it's basically the same thing, only it's being obvious. It's not like trying to pretend like this is actually the way things are. It's
making fun of the stereotypes of all the countries,
And it's all of that kind of stuff. Which basically, this shows the same thing, only it's acting like these are not stereotypes, these are truths about Paris and about French people, which is a little bit disturbing. If you've ever been there, you're just kind of like, okay. And I mean, we were only there a day, and I know that I'm just like, what in God's name is this, you know? But anyway. Okay, so the first cliche is just the fact that she got, well, let me back up. The premise is she's an American girl and she gets a job in France working for a French marketing firm to give them an American perspective. Now that premise is just very iffy to me in the first place.
Well, because who would do that?
Well, why do they need an American perspective? They're based in France. Their audience is French.
It's like what they probably need is a Canadian perspective, because
they don't even elaborate.
They speak French in Canada, some places, you know. So there you go, and they might want to market over there.
Oh, they don't.
So you see, I've completely rewritten the show. Emily should be from Ontario or somewhere like that, or Toronto.
You know, I just wondered from the very beginning, why does this French company need an American perspective? I don't really understand why this is a thing, you know.
Because everyone needs an American perspective.
Because they're not a worldwide marketing firm that I can tell. They're a French marketing firm.
Yeah, it's a little bit twee. It's a bit Hallmarkish.
Oh my God, it's very Hallmarkish. I mean, if it weren't for like all the sex, really, and some of the language.
Well, that makes it even more Hallmarkish. How bloody R-rated they are.
It was just about as cheesy as a Hallmark movie. Yeah, it definitely was. Especially in the beginning, you get a little bit more into it. If you'll stick with the show, you'll get into it. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean about the suspending your disbelief. It's just like, okay, you have to just go with this. Like, this is the way things are, you know? Okay, but my first thing is that, okay, she's an American, she's gotten this job in France, but of course it's in Paris. The job is in Paris because that's the only city in France, right?
Yes. You know, forget Marseille, you know, forget Nantes.
Nice, there's a bunch of other cities.
Bordeaux, anybody?
Yeah. It's like there's other cities in France, you know, that, I mean, a good part of America would be familiar with, I think. I don't know. I could be wrong. Yeah. So that was my first one. Now, if Emily in Paris were set in the UK, it would be Emily in...
London,
because London is the only city in the UK.
It is. There's nothing else but London. It's just green.
Yes.
There's no one else. And if you see someone, you go, "What are you doing outside of London, mate? You alright? Get back here. You're mugging me off, mate."
The thing is, the sad thing is that some Americans are so, like, geographically uneducated that they think... I don't know if they think London is the country. But they definitely think like London, England, the UK, it's all the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you've surely experienced that.
I've kind of experienced people thinking London is the only big city in the UK, and they think they know London is in England.
I mean, do they?
Yeah, no, the people I've encountered know that, but they think Scotland is somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, it's not attached to England. It's not on the same landmass, not on the same island.
Right.
They think it's somewhere else, and Wales is just... What's that?
What is Wales?
What
Never
is Wales?
heard of it.
That's just some made-up place from Game of Thrones, mate.
I mean, we've talked about that before. I was unfortunately one of those people. What is Wales? You know, I only knew the Prince of Wales, but I didn't know what Wales was, you know?
Yeah. I can't remember how I explained Wales. I just said it's a country.
It's like you're from Wales.
And it's
what
like,
is
what
Wales?
country? Yeah, you know, like what country next to England? Yeah, I do kind of remember you going, what country next to England?
Is that near Genovia?
Very Princess Diaries. Big fan over here.
Okay, so her job, Emily's job. Emily, by the way, is played by Lily Collins, who is Phil Collins' daughter.
And you can feel it coming in the air tonight. Yes. Oh, Lord.
I don't know. Does she have a British accent, or does she have an American accent?
I have no idea. She might be like Callum Best.
Yeah.
For those who don't know who Callum Best is, he's the son of George and Angie Best.
On anything.
But he's got an American accent. And George Best is was a footballer.
But he calls his mum his mum.
His mum? And he says fair play. So he's all right. He's
and his mom's got a British accent.
You're mugging me off, mate.
You guys, we've been watching Celebs Go Dating.
Muggy.
We have Surfshark now. Hashtag not sponsored.
This is hashtag not sponsored because they don't want to sponsor us.
You guys, everybody head to Surfshark and tell them they should sponsor the Tina Buddy podcast.
Yes, give them a shout out on Twitter or Instagram or something and say, yeah, you need to sponsor that podcast because it is brilliant.
Yes. But we have Surfshark, which is a VPN service. Is that what you would call it?
Yeah, it's a VPN, and that stands for Virtual Private Network, and that means you can get online and you can kind of trick the website that you're trying to look at, if it's blocked in your country, into thinking you're in that country, so you can access it. So, you know, we're tricking, all four ITV player, BBC iPlayer into thinking that we're in the UK.
Yeah.
With an IP address.
Right, and by doing that, we're getting to watch British shows that are not available elsewhere. So that's what Dominic's talking about when he says Callum Best. We've been binge watching Celebs Go Dating on Channel 4 in Britain.
Callum Best, mate.
Anyway.
And Muggy Mike.
Emily. Oh, you guys. Emily, Lily Collins.
Yeah.
Her job is to bring an American perspective to a French marketing firm.
And what is that? What exactly is an American perspective? It's, ooh, don't do this in America.
Yeah. We wouldn't do this in America. We wouldn't do that in America. Here's how social media works in America. Here's how Americans do social media, you know.
And guess what? None of the rest of the world cares.
No, and they don't in the show.
They used to, about 50 odd years ago, they used to care what Americans thought, but since they stormed the Capitol, mate, it's not happening.
Oh my God. Let's not talk about that. Anyway. I want to know, though, do you think that she would have a similar job in the UK? Would her job be the same thing in London? Or would
it may be an American perspective on things in the UK. And I mean, we're in that industry now. You know, me and you and Tina Buddy and all that, you know. So we kind of like have that kind of like, we think everybody, we see all this like an American perspective on Britain, a British perspective on America.
We look at everything
Well,
that's what we're doing right now.
So well, that's what we're doing right now. This is basically the core basis of this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and so we see other people who do it, and we see, you know, and that's kind of like all we see. And if you're looking at it from outside, it's like, you know, there's going to be Americans like, I don't give a crap, you know, what's going on in Britain.
Yeah.
And British people, I don't give a crap what's going on in America, you know.
Right.
It's like, it's not my deal. I think, you know, just to kind of like bring it round. I think Britain cares more about what happens in the US than the US cares about Britain. It's only if something major happens, like like a terrorist attack or something,
Right, yeah.
Or, they find the cure for cancer or something like that, that's going to, make the news.
Okay, let's change that, though, because do they care more or are they just more informed about what's happening
maybe it's more informed.
Because I don't get the feeling that they care what's happening over here. You know what I mean?
Like the
unless
the
it's something really,
it's
something really terrible and might consequently, affect the rest of the world. Because
you go to Spain, you go to Spain. This is you, Emily in Spain now, Erica in Spain, and people ask you, oh, what do you think of Trump getting elected? Because we went there the night he got elected, and everybody was asking you that. It's like, I don't know, if Joey Essex got made prime minister.
No, I get
right? Even an election, he took over the Labour or Conservative or the Essex Party, just say, and they surged into number 10, and he was prime minister after Boris Johnson. And I came to America, people would go, oh, what do you think of Joey Essex as the prime minister?
Yeah.
They wouldn't. They were just like, who's Joey Essex?
What's a prime minister?
What you saying? What's a prime minister?
Okay, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But my point was just that this is a marketing firm and they're marketing to French people. So, why do they need
Why do they need Emily? What's Emily doing?
Anyway. So
why can't she just be on holiday?
So in theory, she could probably move to London and do her job. Do an American perspective to a British marketing firm. She wouldn't necessarily have a different job if this were set in London.
And the thing is, the stereotypical thing is, she moved there with a job to Paris, could not speak the language, couldn't, and didn't bother with it.
Oh,
really.
Yeah, no.
She thought, oh, well, everybody's just going to speak English to me. Because that's,
Because I'm American.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm American.
It's that kind of arrogance and, ignorance, I guess you could say, of going to another country and expecting someone to speak your language,
Yeah.
That doesn't,
Sorry if you hear. It's just my notes.
It's paper.
I'm old-fashioned, yes. I like to make notes.
She likes to write with pens and everything. Pens went out of fashion decades ago.
Okay, so if she went to London, she could theoretically have the same job if this was Emily in London. But her fashion sense, her wardrobe on Emily in Paris, she wears all the berets, she wears Eiffel Towers prints on her blouses, she wears all the French stripes.
Yeah.
Everything's very stereotypically French. So my question is, what would her wardrobe be if it were Emily in London? What would she be wearing if the show took place in London?
It would be something like
tweed, I'm guessing,
or raincoats.
Raincoats.
And she'd have an umbrella. Rain boots.
Yeah, rain boots. She'd probably have some little rain boots,
She would, British girls, they dress kind of dress tights or leggings.
Mm-hmm. Nah, we're not talking about the way they dress. We're talking about the way Americans think British people dress.
Well, like Madonna when she was married to Guy Ritchie.
French people are not going around France or Paris wearing berets and little stripy shirts.
Onions around the neck.
And Eiffel Tower. They're not wearing Eiffel Tower on their clothes.
The onions around the neck stereotype.
I've never heard that before. I've only heard that from your crazy British shows. I've never heard that stereotype of wearing onions around their neck.
They must have been growing onions all the time.
Can we get back? Let's get back to the point here.
Get back.
Oh, I know what she'd wear. She'd wear the little flat caps. She'd wear a little flat cap. She'd have a lot of tweed on. She might be wearing some riding pants. I think a tweed. Okay, here's the outfit.
He is the outfit.
Riding boots, riding pants, a white dress shirt, a little tweed blazer,
Yeah.
and a flat cap. This is what she's wearing.
And it's like not a horse in sight.
This is what we think.
She'd have a riding crop too, wouldn't she?
I have a feeling she
Maybe a
might
shotgun over her arm.
I have a feeling she might wear a kilt. They might put her in a kilt, like in like some Scottish kind of, because it's Britain. We don't know that
Britain, Scotland doesn't exist in Americans'
no, it does.
heads.
As far as the fashion goes, it does. We know about kilts, so
yeah, but
it doesn't matter
they're not
that
in Scotland.
It doesn't matter because London is the only city that we know.
Yeah, but Scotland isn't attached to London.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We know it's something to do with Britain. We know
you?
Yeah, we do. We do. So I think she would wear a kilt. I think she would have a kilt on. I think that she would be wearing the
riding pants and a kilt. That's gonna be warm.
No, just in another outfit. She'd have a little kilt on somehow. She'd probably wear things with the Union Jack on.
Yeah.
She'd wear that, very Spice Girls-esque.
She'd wear a Union Jack dress.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they probably put her in that.
I think so, yeah. She might wear one of those hats, like on the episode of Friends where they go to London and Joey's like trying to get Chandler to wear the hat with the Union Jack.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to list now some of the stereotypes, some of the French stereotypes that are found in Emily in Paris, and then you tell me what some of the stereotypes are that we would see in a British version of this show.
Yeah.
So the first stereotype is that all French women are super fashionable. Like they just look absolutely impeccable. They walk out of the house and they just look like nothing any other woman anywhere in the world looks like. The next one is that French people do not smile. Ever. They don't appreciate being smiled at. They think you're stupid if you smile at them. The next one is that everyone in France is okay with affairs, with having affairs. Everyone's having an affair. Everyone's fine with it. Everyone's just like, oh yeah.
Because it's like, oh, it's French. That's the stereotype of French men is like, oh, they're all over the women.
Mm-hmm. And the women know that their husbands are having an affair. They've approved the mistresses.
And they have affairs too.
They have
French.
Affairs. Yeah, everyone's having affairs. Everyone knows everyone's.
And why
having
bother
an
getting
affair.
married?
But they're
married to everyone.
Another stereotype is that all French people chain smoke.
Chain smoking.
Just like one right after the other. Another one is that they're rude. They're just super rude.
Rude.
Do not like Americans. Super rude to Americans. And another one is that they're very politically incorrect. So the men are very misogynistic. Like,
oh, yes.
They see women as sex objects.
How terrible.
And they think it's ridiculous that Americans with this Me Too movement.
It's very ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
And Time's Up and all of that. They think, it's ridiculous,
Yeah.
Sex should be like celebrated and women are beautiful and that should be celebrated and men are just celebrating their beauty when they treat them like, objects.
Yeah.
So those are some of the French stereotypes. Now my question for you is, what would some of the British stereotypes that Emily would encounter or experience living in London?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just kind of like that she'd encounter this kind of like, like everyone's a cheeky chappy. She'd encounter like a stiff upper lip, posh Benno.
You say everyone's a cheeky chappy. I think everyone would be posh. Everyone she met would be the super.
Oh yes, I go to the rowing club
Chelsea.
and I know the Queen and yes, let's go out to Sandringham to shoot some pheasants.
Yes.
Or we'll go boating on the Cam. Yes, we'll go for a punt on the Cam.
Yes.
And everything's so wonderful. And oh yes, and the food. You should try the food while you're here. It's very bland. Very terrible. Everything's beige. Everything is beige and put in the oven for 140 minutes.
Yes. It would definitely be like she would meet somebody with terrible teeth.
Terrible teeth. They're terrible. Oh,
She'd
so
go
terrible.
to a
Are there any dentists here? No.
She'd go to a restaurant and the food would be disgusting.
All taste like cardboard. No spice at all.
She'd go to a pub and order, a cocktail probably, and they would look at her crazy like, oh,
we only serve warm beer
we
here.
only have
warm
pints
beer.
here. Yes. But yeah, I think that everybody in an Emily in London show would be posh. I do not think.
But then she'd stumble into this kind of like Diagon Alley world where they're not posh. And it's kind of like, no, it's Nocturne Alley, isn't it? Not Nocturne Alley where people would be like, ooh, seedy and all, ooh, yeah, hello. And they'd be like talking like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
They'd all be talking like Joey Essex.
Or talking like Joey Essex, like, oh yeah, salty potatoes, sorted.
And she'd be like, what?
So,
I can't understand a word you're saying.
And it's like, oh, and the posh people would be like, oh no, you where did you go? Why did you go there? We don't go there. No respected people goes to that part of England.
We don't go east of what? I don't know.
Westminster.
Yeah.
East of Westminster is terrible.
Oh my God, yes. Let us know what some other stereotypes you think that Emily in London would encounter in a British incarnation of this show. The last note that I have here is that this neighbor. So in Emily in Paris, there's a guy who lives in her building, and he lives in the exact same spot that she lives, only in the floor down, because in Europe, the first floor is
the ground floor.
Yes. What we in America call the first floor is the ground floor. What we would call the second floor, I'm getting so confused now.
Yeah.
In Britain and Europe is the first floor. So she miscounts when she's going up to her.
So it's ground, first, second, third, fifth, fourth.
Fourth, fifth, yeah. So she lives on the fifth, and he lives on the fourth, but she's counting from the ground rather than from what we would call the second floor. She's counting from the ground. Getting
very confusing.
Yes, it's very confusing. So anyway.
I can't even count anymore.
Now this is probably a thing that would happen in real life.
Well, yes, to someone because it has happened to you. When we've gotten into a lift in Britain or something, and I've gone, the ground floor. Or you were like, you've pressed 1.
I mean, we have ground floor in hotels sometimes.
Yeah, but I remember you pressed 1 when we were trying to get to the ground floor, and I was like, why did you press 1? Mm-hmm. And you're like, it's the first floor. And I was like, no, it's the ground floor,
Yeah, what's funny is...
G means ground,
But in American elevators, a lot of the times, G means garage.
Yeah, that's right,
But I think to fix that, especially in big cities, they usually put P for parking. And that will mean like the
parking garage, yeah.
But
PG, and you want to go there because it's parental guidance. You don't go there without your parents.
Anyway, so she tries to get into this guy's apartment because she thinks it's her apartment. She meets him. Of course, he's the love interest of the show.
Oh, yes, and he's very sexy and
he's very sexy, very French.
Smoldering, and she's like, oh, I don't like French. I don't like him. It's a classic Hallmark thing, isn't it?
She's quite attracted to him, actually, but she has a boyfriend at the beginning, so it's like they just become friends. Anyway.
The sacrificial lamb.
His job, though, of course, because what else would it be? He is a French chef. So if she met this man in London, what do we think his job would be in an Emily in London? I'm going to say he owns a chip shop.
No.
He owns a fish and chip shop.
No, because you don't know. Americans think fish and chips is in a pub.
Come from pubs. Yeah, okay, that's true.
I went to a pub. And he owns a pub.
He owns a pub.
Yes. He owns a pub, it'll be the thing. Or he's like butler to the Queen or some stupid thing, Yeah, I'm trying to think what's a stereotypical British. Or he's a banker. Oh, he'll be a banker.
I don't know.
Yeah, he'll be like Mr. Potts or whatever in Mary Poppins, who was a banker. And,
maybe.
He's just like, I had a hard day banking today.
But I don't know if that's something that Americans associate with London necessarily.
He's a businessman. He has a bowler hat. He has a pinstripe suit.
Yes.
He's got a brolly on his arm.
That's another fashion element that Emily would definitely wear. Yes, bowler hat. Quickly before, we're basically out of time, but I want to get to this BuzzFeed article that beat me to the punch. They say, here's everything that would happen if Emily in Paris was Emily in London. This was written by Ben Armson on BuzzFeed, if you guys want to go look it up.
Shout out to BuzzFeed, mate.
They say, number 1, she would constantly go on about how magical London is and enchanting, even though she's been stuck on the tube for 40 minutes with her face in someone's armpit. Number 2, every time someone says, "You're right," to her, she would launch into a monologue about how great she's doing and how much she loves London, perplexing everybody who she comes into contact with.
Yeah.
Yeah. She would rent a flat in South Kensington that she describes as small and cozy, when in fact it's a massive 2-bedroom with amazing views of London. That's probably true. She would get a selfie outside of a Wetherspoons with a pint of cheap lager and say how quaint and cute British pubs are. Oh, because another point about Emily in Paris is that when she moves to Paris, she starts her social media account. I think it's supposed to be Instagram. And it just shows with each picture she's taking along her journey of living in Paris, her social media following is just growing massively, everything.
Because, she's the first American to ever go to Paris.
Yes, yeah. And do an Instagram based on that. Yeah. She would get a selfie outside those colorful houses in Notting Hill, and it would get over 1,000 likes. Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of thing that does actually happen in Emily in Paris. She'll take a picture of herself with a baguette, next to the Seine, and then she'll go, ooh,
next to the Eiffel Tower.
There's
guess where I am.
There's 10,000 likes on it, and she's like, wow, amazing. Yeah.
She bought all those likes, didn't she?
Number 6 is, but then she would take a photo of a Greg's sausage roll, and it would get over 1 million likes. Number 7 is her downstairs neighbor would work in a fish and chips shop.
Oh, God.
He'd cook her first ever fish and chips, and she'd instantly fall in love with him. Number 8 is she would talk in a terrible British accent, constantly saying, "Hello, mate."
Can I have a cup of tea?
Repeatedly, at least 11 times a day, making everyone cringe. Yeah, because in Emily in Paris, she tries to speak. She's learning French, and so she tries to speak French to them when she comes into the office.
Well, I mean, that's only thing.
But they call her le plus, I think, something like that, which means the hick.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Number 9 is she would hold up traffic at the Abbey Road zebra crossing, trying to get the perfect pic, ignoring the beeping horns until she got the shot just right.
Yeah.
These are things tourists actually do. Number 10 is to blend in with the locals. She would wear a pearly queen outfit.
Oh, God.
I didn't know what a pearly queen outfit was.
Pearly queens, yeah.
I don't think that this is something that Americans know about. I'm not sure even looking at it. It's
it's
like a Cockney thing, isn't it? Yeah. So she would go, number 11, she would go on a date with a local, but be put off by him because of his teeth. So there we go.
His teeth.
That was one of the things we said. Yeah. Number 12, despite being in London, she would constantly refer to her Scottish heritage. See? There you go.
Oh, yeah. Irish.
Irish, yeah. Yes, it would be Irish.
And it's just like, Ireland has nothing to do with the UK. It hasn't since 1922.
She would eat a full-on cream tea with scones and finger sandwiches and cakes for breakfast every day.
God. Oh, she should be getting on the fry-up, mate.
Number 14, she would get absolutely smashed at drinks after work and be extremely shocked that no one eats anything before going out drinking. 15 is she would take a selfie with a red London phone box that will earn her another 1 billion followers.
Yeah.
16 is, in just 6 short months, she will become the most followed person on Instagram, but the pressure to post will eventually become too much when she has a breakdown in Eminem's world, leading her to deactivate her account.
Oh, did she do that in the show?
I can't remember. I don't remember. Yeah, maybe. Number 17, but after 1 week, she will return better than ever, posting even more fire content for her adoring fans. And there's a picture of her wearing one of those stupid Union Jack hats and waving a flag.
Yeah, those are serious tourist traps, those things.
And that's it.
That was it? Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, so there you go. We hope you enjoyed this topic, and thank you so much for tuning in, as always. We appreciate your support.
We appreciate it so much.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.